Welcome
Yes.
everyone. My name is Dorla Aparicio. I am a group piano teacher in Texas, and today I have an amazing guest. Anna Phelps is here from Arizona, and she teaches large groups. This is not like a group of 10. This is like really a large group. So, Anna, welcome. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us, how did you get started with group piano?
You bet. Thank you, Dorla. I'm honored to be here. I started teaching private lessons about over 30 years ago, dabbled a little bit with group piano lessons, but I am currently working as a middle school teacher in an actual school here in Arizona, and I teach 24 students piano at a time. And as you can see, or as you can guess, it's an individual sport for each person in the classroom. And it has been about 5 or 6 years in this setting currently. But before that, I've done a lot of accompanying with choirs and teaching individual lessons. And so there's been a lot of learning and a lot of learning curves as I have also been doing what Dorla is doing, and that is just getting to know a lot of people around the world. So anyway, that's kind of my going now. And I have 6 classes. Well, currently I have 5 classes. It's a brand new school. The kids are starting to catch on to what this is, and they're just jumping at the bit to come in and try this out. It's a group lesson, so we have a lot of things that we do. But this is how I got started in group piano.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I think this is one of the best parts of today's interview, besides talking to you, is can you show us your classroom?
Yeah, I'm in it right now. So let me show you. I'm in the back of the classroom where we have these music selections hanging up. This is the more advanced kind. On the other side of the room is our beginner music hanging up for students to just be inspired by. But my classroom from the back looks like this. So let me go ahead and come to the center here. Oops, let's see if that
Wow.
works. And you have 24
Look.
keyboards. Okay. And in the back of the classroom, I have all these chairs setting up, and that is where we sit for music theory, for games, for discussions, for team building, whatever we need to do. At the front of the classroom, if you saw, there's also an acoustic piano. Let's see, do I see it yet? Where did I see? Oh, yes, an acoustic piano. And then there's also a piano where I sit. I don't sit though. I have a lot of energy and I tend to walk around a lot because I want the students to have as much help and guidance as they can. And so that is my classroom. It's a treasure for sure.
So, it is. It is. It's beautiful. Oh my goodness. So, tell us, do your students keep their headphones on the whole time, or do they have times where they play ensembles?
So we do both, right? We do both. We have in the beginning, I have kind of a system that I use. I have them set technique goals every month. We base everything on monthly goals here. And so I give them a monthly goal sheet, and that is their accountability piece. We have technique that they work individually. They choose one of 4 levels. What are they working on? I do have a 5th level with variegated scales, and those are the ones where you're working with 3rds and 6ths and 10ths to run up and down the scales. Those are your more competitive, classical based, those who are taking private lessons. I have a few of those students, but they will each choose their technique, and that's what they work on individually. They have sight reading that they must do also for about 7 minutes a day, because we have 90-minute class periods. That's another beautiful thing, 90 minutes. So
Yes.
about 5 minutes
How often?
twice a week. So we
Wow.
have a block schedule, and we are a 4-day school week. So yeah, those are great questions. So they will have their headsets on for technique, for sight reading, and then we take off headsets and we actually have a spotlight, scholar spotlight, And it has nothing to do with piano. It's all about team building and getting the kids to start discussing and talking with one another. And then we'll have a theory moment once a week at least. And then we work on a repertoire. Now, repertoire, as you're mentioning, sometimes we have ensemble work, sometimes we have individual work, solo work. When we have ensemble work, I have the capabilities of putting kids together with me. I can work in groups. They all have their headsets on, and I can tune in a group at a time to work on, with the pyramid song, for example, when I did spring last semester, which is interesting because this is spring, but they really were ready for this spring song, and it was beautiful. And we were studying about this composer. So I worked with the preps, and then the pianist one, and then the pianist two, and was able to listen to them individually. But yes, near the end, we will try to go live. I call it going live. Unplug, and they can go. But because I'm working with middle school students, it's a very controlled environment. And I teach them also the good ways of doing things and the least effective ways, and the ways that they can earn a timeout chair if they're not going to listen. But that's just it's all with a smile, and it's all learning what works well with the students, and learning that these are tools and not toys. So, but we do both.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you group the students, you can hear, let's say you have a group of 4 that you're listening to.
Yes.
Can they hear each other also?
Yes. So I can with my hub in the front of the classroom, I can actually put 4 of them together, and they can all practice on their own while I'm working with the rest of the class. Yes. We have a lot of duets preparing for our April recital, and so a lot of times I will either sync them together at the front, but I can only do one, or I will give them an extra headset, and they will go sit next to their friend, and they will work on that duet. And then I can come over, and sometimes I come plug into their keyboard and listen to them. But other times I take the keyboard, I make them go live, and I just hear them live while everybody else is working. And I kind of varied it up on purpose so that the kids get some exposure to both. And plus, nobody wants to sit for 90 minutes with the headset on.
No, yes.
Yeah.
So, do you mind telling us what brand of pianos you have, and what your hub is?
Yeah, so it's a Yamaha system, and I have my digital pianos are P125.
Okay.
It's about the system per keyboard, and for this kind of a setup, it's about $1,000 a piece is what we priced it out as. That way you've got everything with it, because we have to get our nice headsets, which these range about $65 with tax and stuff, because they have the nice microphones, so that you can talk individually. A lot of my teaching at the front of the room is into the headset, so that I can ignore the band behind me, and the kids can hear me clearer as well. And a lot of times, and the hub, I don't know the brand. It's all a Yamaha base, but I don't know the actual numbers. And I'm happy to get that to anybody who would like. I'm more than happy to share.
If you get a chance today, you could just put it in the comments in the group.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because I'm sure somebody's gonna ask.
Yes, yes, I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you. So those of you that are members of Piano Pyramid Academy, Anna was gracious to answer all these questions, and it turned out to be a 10-page document of what you shared about teaching large groups. So if you are a member of Piano Pyramid Academy, make sure you find that. I believe it's in module 5. But while I was reviewing that this morning, I was very interested in your composition with the group. I thought it was just so cool how you have a hero and a villain, and how you have them composed that way. Will you talk a little bit more about that?
I will, yes. So that, and that's just one composition. Sometimes I do what's called the Yoda project. I created the name based on John Williams and his composition of Yoda's theme.
Tell us about Yoda. Tell us
Okay,
about Yoda.
let me show you a picture. These pictures behind me hanging on the wall show the cover of last semester's Yoda project. What I do with the Yoda project is I have the students create a character, and it cannot be a character that has ever been invented. It has to be something unique. Then they need to give it 5 characteristics. So I had one girl or a group of boys that did a shape-shifting chicken nugget one year. And it was okay. I loved it. And so what we do then is we do basic, they can choose the beginner pianist, they get to choose C major or G major. We talk about simple composition, and I've done it one of 2 ways. Sometimes we just choose our time signature. You're in a C major position, and I want you to fill each measure in with 4 beats, but I want you to use quarter notes, eighth notes, whole notes, and a whole half notes, or a dotted half note. You can use any of these simple ones. First, they create their rhythm. Then they will start to put notes on there, and they just explore with their team. How are you going to do it? This is just the melody writing. We do talk about question and answer, and many times I tell them, if you begin on C, if you're in C major, you must begin on C and you must end on C. Everything in between, we talk about intervals and how to make strong melodies with seconds and thirds, as opposed to jumping all over. I ask them to sing the melody. Is it easy to sing, to just hum along, so they feel like it's going somewhere? I teach them a lot of theory rules of just basic composition like that, but then I tell them, now composers break rules, so use it. If you think outside the box, let's talk about it. Maybe you want to throw an accidental in here or there, and then let's hear how it's going to sound. We try to make it that, you have your image, you have your composition. When they're done, then we talk about the chords that will go underneath it. And their requirement is to add 1 chord in the bass clef for every measure. Now, yes, they can have ties, and yes, they can, and then we talk about, remember, you don't need to always use the full chord. Maybe you just want the power chord. Maybe you want and just use the 5th. Maybe you want just 1 note. Maybe you want a whole bunch of them. What works for your character so that you can build yours? The thing that we love is there's a YouTube video that I love to watch based on this, and this is how we introduce it. And it shows Yoda's theme played very quickly when he's training Luke, and there's also slower, and when it's also overlapped by another theme when in his death scene. And so we discuss these concepts. And again, these are young kids, their very first time. Do they catch everything? They catch as much as they can, but then they get to have their opportunity to try to compose a song. And then at the end, our presentation consists of, they need to tell us who they created, give us their 5 characteristics, and then they play it for us. So they must have to play it. They must be able to write it out enough that they can play it. So I have them handwrite it. The first year I did it, I was shocked at how many advanced players have never written notes before. So we needed to talk about stem placement and direction, and how to make things, spaced out properly and things like that. So we do have a little bit of basics like that, but we try to keep it very simple. So that is our Yoda project. The hero and villain is similar, but you created a major and a minor key. So I just assign them for the beginners so they can play around with it. And also we started with the chord progression on the hero and villain. They needed to find a chord progression first. And from that, then they played around with their right hand in that same position of whatever chord they're on. play around. What kind of a motif do you want to create? We also talk about motifs, and I say, you have a little short, simple segment. Now, are you going to repeat it again? We're going to develop it. So do you repeat? Do you do a mirrored image? Do you make it higher? So what kind of variation? And I have them help me create lists of different variation. That way you have one stream of the same kind of melody throughout the whole. There's some consistency somewhere. So this is just something that's always developing, and I'm always looking for more ideas. But it's been a lot of fun for the kids to try their hand at composing. So
Yeah, but it's just great. It's also great that you have enough time. The 90 minutes twice a week. It's just, yeah, you do have a treasure.
So
Definitely.
yes, after my piano recital in April, then we have till the rest of the school year. So once everybody is working and they know their recital songs really well, then the week of the recital, I begin to introduce the new idea, because by then they're really getting tired of what they're working on. So it actually presents something new for them to look forward to, a new project.
Yes.
So we are still playing a song, whether it's an ensemble piece or solo piece or a mix. I like to do both always. But I like to add this as the theory element, because it takes everything we've talked about and now we put it into practice. And this is actually one of our final projects we do, is the composition.
At
So
the end.
we just do it nearly at the end. I teach them all about intervals and note naming and how, listening, what's strong, we do little bits and pieces throughout the year. This is a culmination of what have I learned. And some kids have been really inspired to continue composing after. Other kids try their hand and say, I'll never do this again. They love to just play. They just love to play solo work, and that's fine. Either way.
So. That's beautiful. So, another question that might come up, or I want to know also, is how do you get them started at the beginning of the year? What do you have a preferred method that you start them with? I'm assuming they're not all at the same level. They're just in the same grade.
Correct. Yeah. So what I do at the beginning of this school year, I knew nobody here at the school. All these little middle schoolers started to come. I was the brand new teacher. It's a brand new school. I needed to assess the students, and it took me about a week to 2 weeks to figure out exactly what level they were at. But in the beginning, I did get a bunch of the adult Faber and Faber books, and I had a book 1 and I have the book 2, and I have that as kind of a backup. And I teach the kids a lot about how this is a different class than private lessons. This is not private lessons. This is group lessons where there's a lot of on your honor type of work. That means I trust them and they work hard and we both see progress, and I'm here to help mentor and they can mentor each other. Now, in the beginning, I did talk to them and I found out how many have played before. I did ask them to play something for me. I asked them to play a scale, and if they didn't know how, that was perfect as well. This gave me, can you find middle C? So I gave them just a few questions to discern where they were as far as that goes. Sometimes I missed one or two, but this helped me, and they got to actually choose their first technique goal. Are they going to first do a C major scale and start working on just getting their finger dexterity, independence working? Or do they already know that? And then I do tech checks monthly as well to just keep up with that. I do have these brand new books. When I have my green books here in the very beginning, I actually didn't have them in the beginning. Our construction was so far behind. I remember now I didn't have them in the beginning. So this year was a really fun year for me to say, wow, here we are. But this semester in January, when I had new students, I was able to see who I had last semester. and I could give them the proper book. Anybody who said I've never done piano before, they would get that. And I would immediately begin on page 12 on the Amazing Grace song so that they could learn about their finger numbers and they could start just getting familiar with that and just
What book was
making
that?
sure. What's that?
What book was that?
That's the Adult Faber book 1. It's green.
Mm-hmm.
The adult one.
Adult one. Okay.
Yes. And page 12, I go from page 12, Amazing Grace. If they feel good about that, then we start introducing positions right away. Many of them will turn the page and play the next page because I begin to introduce the freedom of moving on. They do not need to stay with the class at a certain pace because they are an individual. And I really stress this in the beginning, is they can move as slow or as quick through this class. They just need to keep making progress, and everything is written down on their monthly goal sheet. I have it set up where they record what technique did they work on, and then also sight reading. Sight reading, I love to use the Fired Up piano pronto books. And I use those 2 levels there. And so I have book 1, and I will start with them right from the beginning. And so they will have some sight reading. They just learn a few notes at a time, so it helps strengthen those beginners. Other kids, if they already know how to do that, I have I have 4 carts of donated piano books from the primer to level 1, level 2, level 3. So I teach them how to select a book that is 2 levels lower than what they're playing, and they will be sight reading that for it's 7 minutes is our sight reading block of time. So they will begin working on that while I'm walking around and watching to make sure, are they in the right hand position? Is what they're playing matching what the page is? And so I don't need to hear it. I can just look and see, are they on track? And so we will have that. In the meantime, the beginners are trying to pick out their, I give them kind of a crash course. I had a bunch of beginners around my piano the first week or so. Okay, let me introduce you to the tools. We have what's called our cheat sheet, which gives you the note name, where it looks like, and where it is on the piano. And everybody gets a cheat sheet because in piano, there's no cheating like that. That's perfectly helpful. So, and we also have a lot of these charts on the walls that they can refer to anytime they want. It's about once we get that ball rolling, it just it's a lot easier for them to just keep going. And I tell them, we have time to work. It's called focus practicing. This is our focus practice session. There's no drinks, there's no bathrooms, there's no talking. You need to focus because we have goals to meet. And you can do hard things. You can do hard things, I keep telling them. And so we have some great students. So, yeah.
My next question is, are the students required to practice at home?
So I cannot require that because some of my students do not own a piano or a keyboard or anything. So I would love to require it. In fact, many times through my class, I will say, if you have a piano at home and you go home and work on it at home, you're going to master this even faster than what you want. Did you know that? This is the trick. And I teach them the trick of trying to master things, learning it here, and then going home and trying it. I encourage them to come in before school and practice. There's a handful of kids that always come before school and they start playing and they let their friends hear and their friends get excited and then they bring their friends to class, right? After school, they're welcome to also practice. If they're absent, they actually are required to come in and practice and have a nice 15-20 minute practice session with me. I'm there to oversee and I give them a lot of sight reading. That way they still get the practice that they missed. and they get their points. I can't give them actually a grade for the day. So their grade is actually based on if they're in class and they're participating.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you grade then?
Well, I grade participation. I have monthly quizzes on theory, and then I have also their exams, which are performance exam, which is their piano recital. I have a theory exam based on all of the monthly theory quizzes. And then we have our composition, but participation is the heaviest weighted grade that I give them, because of how valuable that is. I think that's more valuable than anything else, you know? So, and
Right,
I,
right.
I apologize. I think my classroom light just went off. For some reason, it's a motion sensor. So hopefully you can see me
Oh,
okay.
so you have to start moving, so we'll turn back on.
Yeah, I have to dance around the room or something.
So, what are the choices that the students have at the school for music? Is everyone required to do piano, or do they get to choose other?
Yeah, so they are required to choose in seventh grade, they must choose an art class for the full year. In the eighth grade, they must choose one fine arts. So for a semester. In the sixth grade, I don't know their requirements because this is the first time I've worked with sixth graders in the middle school age group. I came from another school that was just seventh and eighth grade, a different district. And so I don't know the sixth grade requirements. However, the choices for the fine arts are orchestra, band, choir, piano, and I believe in the eighth grade, they can choose drama or art over the performing arts. But in the seventh grade, I think they needed to choose one of the performing arts, one of the music classes, because the founders of this school have a firm belief that if you have a musical education, it will prepare you also for the rest of your other education, and it enhances it. We know this, and it was wonderful
Right.
to see that they like the fine arts. They want all of the arts because they believe that it really enhances their academic learning and success.
Beautiful. So, is this a public school or a private school?
This is actually a charter school.
Charter school. Okay.
Yes, I think I see it as kind of a mix. We have private
Yeah.
and public, and I see the charter as kind of a mix, the way that it's set up with the charter and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, did you have to pitch this idea of group piano to the school, or did they come to you, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I actually have been I've known this school for the 27 years that it's been open, and I've watched it develop. This is the fifth campus that they've opened. The piano class is only 7 years old in the campus. And I believe that there was a teacher that they really wanted, and she needed more work than they could give her. And this was one of her skills. So she set this up and she taught it for a couple of years. And then when it got to be too big at the other campus, she had 6 classes. No, they filled up about 8 classes, and they asked me if I would come in and teach another couple of classes on top of my full-time accompanying position. So I did that, and then the next year, I actually took over all of the full-time the piano classes, and she was part-time because she was also orchestra as well. So it kind of fell
Wow.
in my lap, and I fell in love with the whole program. So when this school
Yeah.
was announced as being opened, the principal was asking me how to set up a piano lab. And I started to think, wait a minute, is this an opportunity? So,
Okay.
so I fell into
So,
it.
who's at the other school?
So the other teacher is still over there, and she has taken
Oh,
over
okay.
that program. Yes. She gave up her other classes that she was teaching in orchestra, and she's now doing the piano full time over there. Yeah. And she has her own. And then another one of our campuses, she is working with me currently. She is setting another lab up with about 20 keyboards, is all they have the room for. And so, yeah, it's a huge
That is
program
beautiful.
in demand. Yeah.
Beautiful. One more question, and it's
Sure.
how many students total? Now, I know you say you can have up to 24 at the same time, but how many students are in the school, in this school where you are, and then how many are taking group piano?
Okay, so if we just count the junior high, because they're the only ones allowed to take it, not it, my
Oh,
school is a K-8 program. And so I'm only working with junior high, and I want to say there's about 300 students total. I have 102 students currently, but I am not completely full. I have one more section that we're going to build up. I'm hoping to have, um, well, 6 times 24, 120, 140,
mhm.
144. So,
So that's your capacity.
so that is my capacity for 6 sections and have 2 prep hours. If I give up one of my prep hours because the demand is there, I'm happy to give up one of my prep hours, um, because it rolls. It's such a fun class. Um, and all of the experience before I taught has helped me to develop and to be able to keep up with it, So, but yeah, so I'm excited
So
about it.
you mentioned sections. So you have different levels that the students move through, even within whatever class period they're in.
So this, when I say a section, I just mean a class. One
Okay.
class, as they call it, a section. I have 5 sections of piano class, or the piano lab right now. I have one piano lab class, that's a piano 2 lab. And I have 4
Mm.
piano 1 labs. But there's too many, my piano 2 kids are levels, and if you think of Faber and Faber books, it's the level 3 and higher. Those are my piano 2
Mm.
kids. My piano 1 is beginner up through level 2. That's what we've
I
tried.
see.
We've divided it this way, but we actually have one of my sections right now currently that has everybody, because we couldn't fit another one in there. The scheduling didn't work. So next
Right.
year, then we'll have 2 piano 2 classes and 4 piano 1 classes. That is my guess that we're going to end up having over here to fill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anna, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Before we say goodbye, is there anything that you want to share with the group piano teachers who are watching? Anything specific that I didn't ask about or that you just want to share with them?
I just have to say that if you love music and you love teaching and you love to play the piano, I think it's for you. And I have to say that I'm a better piano player because of my teaching, because of my students. My students inspire me every day. I learn so much. And the beauty of it is they just want to know that you love them and that you care about them, and then they will work hard for you. And if you are not the perfect person in your own mind, I hope you will try to let that go, because if the parents are inspired to talk to you to be their teacher, I think you are the right person. And if you talk to that student and it's the right combination, you can do miracles. You can just have a great time, and those kids will love coming. Some students take it for the academics. Some students take it for the mental break. And I hear that all the time. The students join for different reasons. But what I love is it's an opportunity to give our gift to students, and for the students to then learn how to create a gift within themselves and to be able to go out and share it with the world. And that's what I really focus on in my studio is we have a gift that we give them, and they are going to give it to the parents when they have a recital. We talk about that with all of the composers. When we talk about Brahms or Beethoven or Vivaldi or even our current, composers, that I introduce, new composers' music to the students. There's a gift in all of these composers, and they just needed to get it out. And that's what we're hoping to do with the world, is continue to share that in whatever fashion that ends up being musically. And the piano is a wonderful tool to do it. So
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Anna.
you're
It's
welcome.
been a pleasure to learn from you today and to finally meet you, because we've only messaged through Facebook.
Yes.
But I wish you the best, and that
Thank
your
you.
program continues to grow, and you're doing such a wonderful job. And thank you for sharing with us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Dorla.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching. I know everyone is busy right now, but you'll probably watch later. And have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.